Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're cracking open one of Charles Dickens's most powerful and, honestly, most sprawling novels, Little Dorrit. Now, this book is famous for its massive critique of society, but you've got to understand it's built on a foundation of some seriously grim reality. Yeah, think about this quote. To really capture the soul of this story, Dickens himself felt like he had to go see the ruins of the real-life debtor's prison, the Marshalsea. He couldn't even finish writing the book until he did. He absolutely needed to ground his fiction in the cold, hard facts of stone and decay.
And that right there, that's the central question we're going to be digging into. Dickens takes the literal walls of a prison and just blows the whole concept wide open. He shows how this idea of being imprisoned stretches to every single level of society. His whole argument is that everyone, whether you're rich or poor, is trapped in a prison of some kind.
Okay, let's dive in. We're going to start with the most literal prison of them all, the Marshalsea. And this place was personal for Dickens. It really shaped his own childhood after his father was locked up there. So, you gotta understand, the Marshalsea wasn't just a place of punishment. No way. It was this self-contained, really grim little world. Entire families actually lived there, right alongside the person in debt. Kids were born there, and this whole complex social order just sort of grew up inside the walls, all of it defined by this total lack of freedom and the constant crushing weight of debt. And it's inside these walls that we meet our hero, Amy, who's known to everyone as Little Dorrit. And get this, she was actually born in the prison. Her whole identity was forged by this place. Her father, William, he's been locked up for so long that he's become this bizarre local celebrity. They call him the father of the Marshalsea. But it's a title that's really just hiding a deep, terrible shame. And this is where you really see the profound split in William Dorrit's character. In public, he's playing this part, the distinguished gentleman, accepting little gifts, testimonials, they call them, from other prisoners with this grand, dignified air. But in private, when it's just him and Amy, that whole facade just crumbles. And what's left is a man who is completely broken by despair, a captive with, as Dickens so powerfully puts it, the jail rot upon him. Okay, so we've seen the physical prison of personal debt. Now, Dickens zooms out. He's about to show us a far larger, and you could argue, a much more insidious prison, the prison of institutional bureaucracy. So, welcome to the Circumlocution Office. This is Dickens's absolutely brilliant and infuriating satire of a government that has totally perfected the art of doing nothing. I'm serious. Its entire reason for being is to figure out how not to do it, to make sure no problem ever gets solved. And just look at how total its paralysis is. It doesn't matter who you are or what you need. Are you an inventor with a new patent? A regular citizen with a complaint? Anyone looking for justice? Doesn't matter. Everyone gets tangled up in its red tape. The process here is the punishment. That's the whole point. You get passed from one department to another, you're filling out mountains of forms, only to be told, oh, sorry, you're in the wrong place. It's a system literally designed to exhaust the human spirit. It is a bureaucratic prison, and there is no escape. All right, so we've got the prison of poverty and the prison of bureaucracy. But Dickens, he is not done yet, not by a long shot. He argues that even the wealthiest, most powerful people in London are trapped in a gilded cage, one they've built for themselves. Let's step into the world of the Myrtles. These people are at the absolute pinnacle of London society and financial power. Mr. Myrtle himself is this financial genius, and he's so revered that everyone, from bishops to politicians, hangs on his every word. He's the ultimate symbol of success. But is he actually free? Well, his wife, Mrs. Myrtle, sure doesn't feel free. She sees her whole life as this constant, exhausting performance, a burden of just keeping up appearances and following all these rigid, completely meaningless social roles. She actually complains that they are not in a natural state, that they're trapped by the very society they supposedly rule. And here's the crucial point Dickens is making. It doesn't matter if you're in the Marshalsea, the Circumlocution Office, or at the top of high society. The experience of confinement is just as real. He's showing us that a prison doesn't need iron bars, right? It can be built out of red tape, out of social expectations, or even out of a mountain of cash. That feeling of being trapped, it's universal. Just think about this contrast for a second. You have William Dorrit, who's trapped by his lack of money, completely consumed by his ruin and decay. And then you have the Myrtles, trapped by the moral emptiness their incredible wealth creates. They're both prisoners, just in different cells of the same giant prison, society itself. So, if money can't buy you freedom, and social status just builds you a fancier prison, then what is the key? How on earth do you escape?
Well, Dickens's answer has nothing to do with wealth or influence. It's found in character. The novel's telling us that true freedom isn't something outside of you. It's an internal state of being. And we see it modeled perfectly by our two quiet heroes, Arthur Clenham and, of course, little Dorrit herself.
So, what are the keys that can unlock these prisons? Well, Dickens suggests it's qualities like integrity, compassion, devotion, genuine human connection. You can't buy these things, right? They're choices you make every day. And they create a kind of internal freedom that can't be touched by poverty, by bureaucracy, or by any amount of social pressure. And this is the heart of the whole thing. Amy Dorrit, the girl born in prison, the child of the Marshalsea, she is the freest person in the entire book. Why? Because her capacity for selfless love and devotion is a force that no prison, literal or metaphorical, can ever contain. She is the key. And that, really, is the profound takeaway from this massive, incredible book. The world might build all sorts of walls around us, walls of debt, bureaucracy, social pressure, but the freedom to be good, to be kind, to love, to hold on to your own integrity, that is a freedom that you always hold inside yourself. So Dickens was describing this world of prisons over 150 years ago. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Which prisons do we still live in today? It's a question Dickens leaves us with, and it's definitely one that's worth thinking about.